This is Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick with CBT News. Thanks so much for joining us on another edition of Driving Solutions, exclusively right here at the CBT Automotive Network. We have got Amberly Allen, founder and managing partner of Dealer Merchant Services, back in our studio once again. That has grown incredible over the last 5 years. Talk to us about that.
Well, it's so exciting, Jim. Thanks for having me. We started with one dealer, and now we have 1,000.
Oh my gosh.
So,
Wow.
and I anticipate another 1,000 over the next 12 to 18 months.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it's growing very quickly, and
Right.
We're bracing ourselves for
That's
for
great.
sure.
So for some of the dealers that missed the last show, talk to us about understanding the legal compliance requirements when it comes to surcharging.
Sure. So you've got federal laws, you've got state laws, and then you have card brand compliance.
Okay.
And so it currently is legal in 47 states to do a compliance surcharge program.
Okay.
It's still illegal in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Maine.
Okay.
There's also very specific rules in Colorado. 2% is the max that you can charge a surcharge in the state of Colorado. In the state of California, the CNCDA has advised that you do not charge a surcharge in finance.
Okay.
And New York has very specific rules as well. They want you to be very explicit in communicating both prices up front and often to the customers. So we have the technology to help our New York dealers on those things.
And when you say in finance, you mean in F&I?
That's correct.
So if somebody comes in and wants to put $5,000 down on their credit card, that's...
Well, not in California. And it's interesting because a lot of stores have said, well, I just started charging customers a flat 3.5% if they put $3,000 on their credit card. And so it's important, Jim, to note that 3% is the max that you can charge a surcharge anywhere.
Anywhere, okay.
And so that's the max. So if a dealer is doing anything more than 3%, that needs to change right away.
And that can't be one of those things that a sales manager hits somebody at 5%,
No.
and the guy or the woman says okay, and you go, hey, I just made right.
That's right. And to your point, there's compliance regulations. So a dealer cannot profit in any way from the additional surcharge.
Okay.
So 3% is the max. They cannot profit in any way from the surcharge.
No.
They have to have signage at the cashier and the entry point of the dealership. They also have to use a third-party processor, so a partner like us that can ensure that those first two things are happening.
Right.
So the audits, unfortunately, are coming, and we want to make sure dealers are doing it the right way.
Dealers, are you listening to this? Because I'm telling you, as a former dealer, you have maybe 100 or 200 people in your company. They might not know this. So just some of the things that you talked about now with the proper signage and making sure that you're compliant. The last thing that you need as a dealer is to have somebody knock on your door from an agency that goes, we're here to check out some things. And if they're not checking all the boxes and you're hit, guess what? They go, how many stores do you own, Mr. Dealer or Mrs. Dealer? Oh, we own 20. Okay. Oh, great. What are those addresses of those other stores? Because if you're not doing it in this one, you're probably not doing it in the others properly.
That's right. Absolutely. And we also want to make sure dealers are not charging a surcharge on debit cards. Okay, so we have technology with our credit card machines. It actually knows the difference between a credit card and a debit card.
Okay.
And it's the technology that reads the first 8 digits on your credit card.
Okay.
It's called a bin range identifier. So it actually identifies if the customer is using credit or debit.
Okay.
If they use a debit card, whether they use their PIN or not, the machine will know that it's debit and a surcharge will not be added.
Oh, that's great. So it's automatically covered. It's not up to the cashier or the F&I manager or what have you, which is a really big plus.
That's right. And of course, we will train all of the staff on not only the new technology, but we'll also train them on the word tracking, how to communicate it the right way to their customers to ensure that they mitigate any CSI issues. And then from there, we'll also make sure the accounting department is fully trained. Right? You've got some additional change in reporting and reconciliation. We also have some integrations involved. So we integrate typically with their DMS. So we've got lots of bells and whistles because we focus specifically on car dealerships.
And how long does that take? If somebody gives you a call and says, Amberly, I've seen you on CBT News. I'm ready to, let's do this. Okay, I heard about you at my Dealer 20. I know you've got some of the largest companies out there. We talked a little bit. You've got a huge number of the top 150 dealer groups out there that are on the list.
Very proud of that.
It just came out, in fact. You must go through it and go, got it, right?
And also, want these guys, yeah. So
that's right. Might be one of you out there
that's right.
that she wants. But But talk to me about that. I mean, you've got so many large dealer groups. If they give you a call and say, hey, we're ready to go, we're ready to pull this lever, okay,
sure,
and be compliant and understand this space, how long does that take?
Well, first we want to look at their statements.
Okay.
We want to see what they're spending today, and we want to see if there's any additional ways and really show them what their exact savings could be,
Okay.
right? We really drill down on finding out what their exact savings could be. And the cool thing is we look at it beforehand and then we cross-reference it after. So when we tell a dealer what they could anticipate saving, we're pretty close on the money after we launch.
That's impressive.
So yeah, we
Wow.
want to make sure that
Yeah.
that's the case, right? So we're not under-promising.
Sure. In
Yeah.
5 years, I think it's impressive that you've kind of become the gold standard, if you will, in this space. I mean, you were like 500 or 600 more stores than your closest competitor, right? That's very
right.
impressive.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we've launched more dealerships on a compliance surcharge than any other company in the country by a long shot. So we know
Wow.
it better than anybody. So yes, we're very proud of that. And we know that dealers are most influenced by their peers. And so
Sure.
they tell their friends, they tell
That's
their
right.
peers and colleagues. And so that's how we've grown is really by referral.
Sure, sure.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the difference between a cash discount program versus a compliance surcharge program.
So a cash discount program is simply just an increase to the customer's pricing on anything and everything but cash and check.
Okay.
So that means credit and debit cards.
Okay.
And so frankly, it's not compliant in finance, right? How do you raise your price in your system and then lower it, right? It changes the deal structure.
Okay.
And so we want to make sure that dealers are only launching a compliant surcharge. And so that means that their price only increases if they use their credit card. Nothing additional on debit. So if you have a $100 RO, it's $103 for a credit card paying customer, and it remains at $100 for a debit card paying customer.
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha. And what if a dealer is not really ready to pass along these fees? They're just not there yet.
Well, a lot of times, if they're trepidatious about moving forward with an initiative like this, they'll sometimes start in finance. That's
Okay.
where you see the least amount of pushback,
Okay.
outside of California, of course. And then also making sure that they know their numbers. We
Okay.
want to arm them. We see what is called interchange padding
Mm-hmm.
a lot. So they might not be able to see it in their 26 pages of their statement, but we can use our proprietary software and see if there's hidden fees and things like that.
Yeah.
So at a bare minimum, we want dealers to know their numbers.
Sure.
Yeah.
I bet you've got a few calls of people where the compliance police have already been there, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
said, hey, you got to help me out quick, right?
Absolutely.
You probably can't do much about the past, but you can about the future, right?
Absolutely. We want to
Yeah.
make sure that they're doing it the right way, and if there's
Yeah.
any bad apples, and if they're doing a non-compliant program, we've unwound a lot of those non-compliant programs and helped them
Sure.
clean it up, help them make sure everything's going smoothly. And a lot of times too, if they've launched a surcharge maybe with another company and it hasn't gone successfully, we want to make sure they understand in the accounting department how to do this, right? We have a saying, if the controller's not happy, nobody's happy.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
so if the amount of transactions that come in blow up the store, right, then it's all for
Yeah,
naught.
that's
And
right.
then we also have a process for extended warranties and wholesale parts.
Okay.
A lot of times in those business-to-business relationships, there's not a surcharge to be added there.
Right. How are you guys different from maybe a dealer's current provider if they're not currently with you?
Sure.
And you've got 1,000 dealers now. Of course, there's 18,000 dealers out there.
That's
so
right.
you got to roll your shirt sleeves up and get going here.
That's right.
But how are you different from some of the other providers in
Well,
this space?
we focus just on automotive, and
Okay.
it's complex.
That's a big plus.
It is,
Yeah.
and so all of our custom reporting has been built for the dealership and dealership accounting.
Sure.
Some of those integration components. But this is not a taco shop or a sandwich shop. This is very, very complex. And so you have to think about CSI, you have to think about your accounting department, you have to think about your service advisors and how they can communicate it the right way to your customers. You also have to think about the technology and making sure that like our IT team works directly with their IT team and make sure all the security is in place and the machine is in place and all of
There's
those
a lot,
pieces of
yeah.
it. So there's 93 items on our checklist for a reason, because we know how to launch this in a way that it doesn't blow up the store.
Sure. And when it comes to training, who typically is in that training when you kick off or launch a store?
Well,
what positions? I should
Almost
say?
every department is touched by
Okay.
payments at some
Yeah.
point in the process. And so we have a twofold training process. We start with what we call our Dealer Merchant Services University.
Okay.
That's our online training platform. We've trained and certified 16,000 dealership employees across the country, specific to a compliant surcharge. on the word tracking and the compliance.
Okay.
But we're also going to make sure they understand it from an accounting perspective. But from there, we start with that online training simply to breed familiarity. We're not trying to stop there and just send them to an online portal to train them. It's more complex than that. So we start with online training. And then from there, we launch in their stores. So our team actually physically goes to each of our stores and launches their program.
Okay. And on the support side, that you did say in the last time that you were in the studio that you're stateside with your support.
We are.
You're not calling to some other country that.
That's right. And not only are we stateside and we answer,
right,
but our accounting team is comprised of former controllers.
Oh,
so when you get a controller on the other end of the line, they know how that we have to run at the speed of business. We understand their business. We know what they're looking for. All of our technology too, every single time somebody puts in a transaction, it's got the RO number, the employee number. And so you don't have the controller scrambling to try to find transactions. We've got custom reporting specific for automotive.
Yeah, that's a huge plus.
It is.
You know, dealers, they feel as though they're in this separate this separate space outside of any other retailer out there. Maybe they're not, but they feel that way. But certainly the individual that's charged with running a dealership's finances, the controller, that makes it so much easier if they've got somebody on the other end of that line that knows what they're going through. Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
And we take a lot of pride in that. We really call it world-class support on purpose, right? Because we want to make sure that they feel supported on the back end as well.
Right.
Yeah.
What should dealers be concerned with most when considering a surcharge program?
Well, we want to make sure they're not charging on debit.
Okay.
We want to make sure that they're training their staff accordingly. We want to make sure that they really understand all of the pieces from a legal side of things, that they're not trying to do this themselves.
Right.
They have to use a partner that understands the space and can ensure that they're doing it the right way.
Right. And that's going to be even more important as these agencies come knocking, right? I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. The audits are coming. They want to make sure they're not charging on debit. And the technology has to be there to ensure that, right? As I mentioned, our machines know the difference between credit and debit, so their employee doesn't have to know. Right? So we'll make sure everything is covered.
Yeah, that's huge. And then, of course, from the training standpoint, and from the time again, tell me again, from the time a dealer calls you, from the time that they're up and running with you.
So we typically need 3 to 5 weeks. We move very quickly. Once a dealer wants to save $10,000 a month, they want to do it yesterday.
Yes.
So we really move quickly. We have a very structured process in which they go through our queue and make sure everything's handled. And so we will walk them through every piece of that. But some bigger groups, they will take a couple of weeks additional, right? We've launched 65 stores at one time, right? So in that, it took us a couple of weeks, but we can make it happen. So 3 to 5 weeks is standard.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. Are there any major problems that come up during those installations?
The first 30 days are always the most painful, right? You've got new process, new system, new word tracking. And so we really wrap our arms around them, especially in the first 30 days.
Because you've been down that road before. You kind of know.
Absolutely.
Here are the pain points that are going to come up. Right?
We even had a dealer group that launched with a different provider, and they called us and they said, we just didn't know what to ask.
Yeah.
We just didn't know what we didn't know.
Right.
And so we do have that advantage in numbers. We've learned it 1,000 times.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So what should dealers, when it comes to this, when they're in this space, and obviously we're huge believers in what Amberly has got and her company, and certainly these are the kinds of solutions we want to be bringing you here at CBT News. And so we are huge fans of her company and Dealer Merchant Services. However, if they are out there and they are hit up by some of these other companies in the space that want to be you as the gold standard, what should they be asking? Well,
they need to be asking if they are doing a compliance surcharge program. They need to ask them how many dealerships they've actually launched on a compliance surcharge program. Not how many dealerships do they have on traditional processing or a cash discount. If they're offering you a zero fee or cash discount, they definitely don't know your business. So that would be the first red flag. So making sure that they work with a partner that understands automotive, and ask how many times they've actually launched a program like this in a dealership live. That would be a big question that I would ask.
Exactly. So as the founding and managing partner of Dealer Merchant Services, where is the company in 5 years? Your growth is just unbelievable.
Well, we really feel like we will navigate this space and get more state association endorsements. We're working on several right now. and really making sure that they look to us as a resource and an expert as far as this goes, right? Making sure that we understand them, we understand their issues and problems.
Right.
And so world domination.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And as you probably already know, we have a great relationship with all of the state associations. I have many of the presidents on here at CBT News, and so they're watching right now. So if you're not with her right now, your state association, you probably want to be. So give Amberly a call and set that up. But final thoughts that you want to share with the dealers.
Well, it's such a privilege to work with dealers. They are some of the smartest, most hardworking entrepreneurs out there, and we really, truly, I think that when they start to work with us, they see how much we love being in and around the car business. So I hope I get to do it for a long time.
Absolutely,
yeah.
Absolutely. Amberly Allen, founder and managing partner, Dealer Merchant Services. Remember that name, dealers. Right now, we are going into the second quarter of 2025. As you know, there's some headwinds out there called tariffs. We don't know where that's going to end up. But right now, we need every single dollar that we can make and keep inside of the dealerships. So this is a great place to start. It's kind of a no-brainer, actually. So Amberly, thank you so much for coming in once again. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Thanks for watching Driving Solutions, exclusively on CPTnews.com.